So here we go. This is a quick tutorial on how to make a playtesting form via Google Forms playtesting survey. So I've got over here the required elements. This is in the FSO assignment. All the things that you need to have, what type of data we expect to get, and if it's an asterisk, we need to make it a required answer. So let's get started here. So first of all, in order to start your form, you're just going to want to go into Google Drive and either on the left-hand side to create new, same place you'd create a new doc, sheet, or slides file, you can just select Forms. And this will be the first thing you see, except this will say Untitled Form, and then you just put in My Playtesting Form, or I would recommend putting in something like Game X Playtest. Right? And yes, I want to add it to my dictionary. If you want to give it a description, this form, let me go ahead and try to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. This form is used to play test my origin game project. Yes, so why don't we just give it a, all right. So right now, this is just a header. It's the same thing that you would get if you added this title and description component. These 5 things on the right are really the only things that you need to worry about adding. So let's go ahead and start with question 1. The very first thing we want to know is what is the name of the tester. So we can simply say name. If we wanted to provide more information, we could, down here in this option field, we could click and say we want to add a description. Please enter only your first, last name. The reason you want to do this, and we'll get to this in a little bit, you want to keep this top line as short as possible because we're going to export this to a Google Sheet, and that'll make your spreadsheet a lot more manageable. Basically use this as a label and use this as the description of what you actually want. So here it's already set to short answer text, which over here the instructions say that's what we want. If I wanted to change that, as we'll see in a minute, I could use this drop down to actually change what kind of data. And if I wanted to validate data, I could come down here and turn data validation on. We're not going to do, well sure, we'll do that. And we'll say, what are we expecting? We're expecting text. Yeah, and that's about it. So we're going to flip this trigger on, which means it's required. Whenever there's an asterisk, we just want to flip this on to required. And that's it. You've created your first survey question. Anytime you want to preview what it looks like in progress, you just go up here to the eyeball and hit the preview button. It'll open up a new tab and say, here it is. Enter your name. Oh, just your last name. There it is. And then I could submit. Boom, my first playtest sheet is, or survey response has been done. So I could go back here and submit another one if I want, but I'm just going to close the tab and go back to the form. All right, so what's the next thing we want? Age. So we're going to go over here and we're going to add a question with the plus icon. We're just going to say age. I'm going to say down here again to add more description. How old are you? So what are we going to want here? Probably going to want not short answer, but rather, yeah, short answer, but we're going to want to validate that it's actually not text, we want a number. So instead of wanting text, we want a number, and what? Do we want a greater than, less than what? Let's just say less than 100. We're not going to allow people over 100 years old to play test our game. Fair enough. Okay, short answer, etc. Is it required? It absolutely is. So I click this on. Good. Got age. So now let's do gender. So let's add a question. Oh yeah, by the way, this I said over here that I wanted a whole number. Let's go back. Age, instead of data validation being a number, less than, we're going to say a whole number. There you go. And by the way, if you want to enter custom error text, you can say, oops, only whole numbers. All right, we don't care if you're 5 1/2 or 27 3/4. At some point that gets old. All right, so back to our next question. What are we looking for? Gender. Gender. And this one I'm not going to add a description, but I'm going to give them specific options. By the way, Google is awesome. Google is smart. All hail the Google. Just by typing this word in, they're already suggesting some things to add. So I could type them in one at a time, or I could just let Google do the work for me. Look at that. Male, female, prefer not to say. Other, I'm not going to put the other, so I'm just going to click the X to get rid of it. There's my 3 options. The radial option means that you can only pick one. There's another for checkboxes, which we'll see in a minute, which will let you pick multiple, but this does it for us. So great. Okay, so is that one required? It absolutely is. Gender, oh, and we said we wanted this to be a drop-down. So look at this. I can just change this from multiple choice to be a drop-down. Same things stay, and we'll look at the difference here. So let's go back to multiple choice. Do the eyeball. Here's how it looks. Male, female, prefer not to say. I can only pick one. Let's close that. If I change it over to a drop-down, guess what? Does exactly what you think it does. Just lets me choose from a drop-down list instead. Cool. All right, so let's add the next thing. That's required. So gaming experience. So I'm just gonna call this one XP. I'm going to add a description and say, please check all game, it's not game genres you have played. All right, so this is going to be a checkbox. What are some game genres? RPG, RTS, first-person shooter, what else? Action, action, platformer, anything you want. Be as detailed or what. I mean, you should have a good range here. It'll make your graphs and charts look better, more professional. The more data you collect, the more you can do with it. You don't have to use all the data you collect, but you can never collect more data after the survey is done. So I would suggest erring on the side of too much instead of too little data. So here's the other thing, is I can do this other. And in the other, let's look at how that works. This one is not required, because maybe they haven't played any of these, so we don't want to force them to check one. So I'm not going to make it required. But let's take a look at how it works. Here I can check multiple items, and then I can also check other and type in serious games. I play those all the time. So you see how that works. All right, moving right along. So that's our main tester info, our demographics area, if you will. I've collected name, age, gender, those are all required, and game, I'll be a little more specific. Game experience, here we are. All right, so now we want a different section. So it's nice to keep things separated and organized and formatted pretty like. So let's go ahead and add a section. That's this little icon right here. So when we click on that, it's just going to cause a break. We're still going to design it all in one form here. But let me add something up here as well. So because this is already a section, instead I'm going to add text, title and description. So this I'm going to call section 1, tester info. And I could put a description down here. Please fill out, or let's say, to be filled out by the participant. The gamer, the player, whatever. Okay? So now when we get down to section 2, I'm going to call this section 2, observed behavior. All right. We'll say to be filled out by the designer while tester is playing. So this section, you know, when you actually think about how you're going to use this for your original game, whenever possible, you want to be present at the test. I understand if you've got, you know, if you're online and you're doing it remotely, you need to let them download the game and download the form. You're not going to be present, but if you can be in their presence while they're playing, you, the designer, are going to want to fill out these while you're watching them play your game. And more of this will make sense when we get to the MDA lecture when we talk about mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics. But for right now, we're just going to call this observed behavior. So let's go ahead and add the first question in this section. And that is, I'm going to call it stuck, nice and short. Again, down here, add a description. Did the player get stuck? And if so, where? So option 1 is just going to be no. If they didn't get stuck, then I don't need it. Option 2, we're going to add other. So that's going to be yes with more information. Make sense? It is required. Oops, I skipped one, but that's all right. We'll come back to that. I'll just go ahead and add it. That's an easy one. So in order to add above, I simply, you know, I could just add it. It's going to go to the bottom. I grab this little tab here and pull it above. Oop. So we're just going to do length. We're looking for a number, so I'm just going to go down here to data validation, looking for a number. Yeah, we're not going to put anything on it. Is number. That's all I want, so that they can enter in. Now, you know, I am going to put a description on it. Some people might answer in seconds, some people might answer in minutes and seconds, and some people might enter minutes and decimal of minutes. So let's do, please use format min dot fraction. Example, 1 minute and 30 seconds would be 1.5. Make sense? 1.5 is not 1 minute 50 seconds, it's 1 minute 30 seconds. I'm not saying that you don't know this, but maybe your play testers would get confused. So just be as specific as possible. Nothing worse for play tester research than bad data. All right, so there we go. We've got it in there. A number, it's got to be a number. It doesn't have to be a whole number. It is required. So let's stop and take a look at our new section and these two other questions. So hitting the eyeball. So here we are. I don't even see the second section. That can be useful when you want them to fill out all the information before actually even seeing the questions on the next section. So I actually have to fill these things out. My name is Smith. I am 1 year old. I would prefer not to say. Other, I like to play history. Then I got to click next. So now here we are. I played for 2.5 minutes. Did I get stuck? Yes. So then I have to require, I say at the boss. Submit, and there you go. So far, so good. All right, so let's close this tab and finish out our form. Now the next one is probably the most open-ended one. It's not going to graph really well, but it's basically a place for you as the designer to put notes while you are observing behavior. So I'm going to add another question. This one is going to be paragraph. I'm going to say simply observations. You know what it's for, so we're just going to leave it. We're not going to make it required. I believe the assignment does the actual playtesting portion of the original game and analysis requires 3 observations. If you want to check the box and get the bare minimum score, by all means do the bare minimum number of observations. But just know that 3 words an observation does not make. You can't just say played good or was too hard. That's not a sufficient observation for the level of effort that we're looking for playtest. So please be detailed. I'll show you in a minute. Oh, let's just go ahead. I'll hit the eyeball. J, 1, male, next. Here I actually can say station 1, this is a long sentence, and hit return, sorry, sentence, and hit return, and I can actually type these things in, multiple. I could even say 3, blah, 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 put spaces in it. However you want, you can type in a full paragraph with your own type of bullets. If I want to do little dashes, it's not going to actually bullet format it, but you can get crazy with the type of stuff that you type in here. It's all your notes. It's going to be pasted into one big cell of the spreadsheet, as we'll see in a minute. So I'll go ahead and submit that. Oops. Yes, 1 and no. See, so you saw what happened there. If I don't actually put it in, it's going to flag me. It's not going to let me submit until I've got the proper data in there. So let's submit. Great. So let's finish out the form now. We're going to do the final section. So, and again, we will relate this to dynamics, or the player behavior, so observed behavior, and then, aesthetics is how did the player feel? So after they're done playing, you've observed them and filled out section 2 while they were playing. They're going to finish playing, and you're going to hit next and get to section 3, where you're going to actually ask for their feedback. Please be honest. We'll add a question. So we'll say difficulty. Look, Google is smart. Google is good. All hail the Google. When I put difficulty, it automatically changed it to linear scale. But if for whatever reason it didn't, this is how you get to it. You come down here, you do linear scale, and then you pick your range. Right? So 1 to 5. 1 to 5 is good. If you want to do 1 to 10, don't go crazy with like 1 to 100. That's just too granular to really make sense to the user. Stick with 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. And I can say 1, super easy, and 5 is way too hard, for example. This one's required. It doesn't really have data validation. I could do description. Please select how difficult it was overall. 1 easy to 5 hard. Cool. So let's add another question. Enjoyment. Oops. So again, oh, look at that. Thank you, Google. 1 to 5. Bad, good. Again, I'm going through this quickly. Please be more detailed and professional in your labeling of this stuff. I'm going to make it required. Move on. Likes. Here we do need a description. Please list at least one thing you liked. And we're going to make this, what did I say? Short answer. You know, maybe, so I'm gonna ad lib here. If we wanted to list more than one thing that the player liked, then we'd probably want to make it paragraph so they could type a lot in. So let's be more specific here. Please list the one thing you liked most. How about that? Now it's a short answer. Now it works. We're not going to make it required. Some people, don't finish the form when you require them to do short answer. So we're just going to leave it like that. We're going to add another one. Change. This again is going to be short answer with a description. What is the one thing you'd like most to see changed? All right, and I think that's about it. So I don't need to save it. Everything's automatically saved in Google. So let's just go ahead and take it for a test drive. So here we are, section 1. My name is Smith. My age, I am 99. I'm 101 years old. It's going to let me do that. Gender, I'm male. I play RPGs exclusively. Maybe I took the thing off. Yeah, we required whole number instead of over 100. Okay, so length, I played for 3.25 minutes. It's 3 minutes and 15 seconds. I did not get stuck. And observations, didn't know what buttons to press. All right, so we'll go on to next. Here's our last section where you actually have your linear scales. I thought it was a little bit hard, but not way too hard. I really enjoyed it. It was good enjoyment. So yeah, you want to label these better. The thing I liked most, the boss was fun. What's the one thing I would change? Help menu for the controls. And then I hit submit. So that's it. That's everything you need to know for the absolute bare minimum playtest form that you're required to create. I highly encourage you, if you want to get an exceptional rating via the rubric, you need to add more fields that pertain to your specific game idea. So you can put questions in there specifically about, did you like the jumping mechanic, or did you feel like weapon switching was too slow, or would you have made more than one boss? Whatever you want. Make it, tailor it. Make it really specific to the type of game that you're making. All right? So the one last thing that I want to show you is what you actually do with all this. So back on my form, I can go over here and click on this responses tab and see that there's 4 responses, and look at that. Google is doing all the work for me. They're starting to graph out how many Fairchilds, how many Smiths, and how many Jays played. That's not, graphing the name is not particularly useful. It should be different. However, age is going to be, right? More often, or more likely, if you want to change age to ranges, so from 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25, etc., then these will map up a little bit more than just individual ages typed in. You're more than welcome to do that. Gender, this is a great graph to show who's playing your game. Again, good to see what type of game experience most of your playtesters had. The length, did they get, how many people got stuck versus how many people didn't, you get it, et cetera, et cetera. So we can see it in this, and you can clip and cut and paste these right into the document that you submit for the assignment. But then the other thing that we can do is go up here and click this button right here, which says Create Google Spreadsheet. We're just going to create a new one. Should open it right up. And then you can do all the great things. So we had 3 submissions with the timestamp and the name. And we go out to the end here, and this is where I told you to paste one big nasty block of all my observations. So I can cut and paste that right into my playtest feedback doc. So here's everything if you want to go in advanced mode to do your own calculations, graphs, charts, what have you from the spreadsheet. There you have it. All right, so that's it. Again, that'll get you at least to 70% on your assignment. So by all means, go crazy with it, make it better. And that is all.